Hey guys, Fishmonger here. Yes, it's actually me, Fishmonger. I just cut my hair and shaved, so I look a little bit more professional now. No longer the motorcycle dirtbag Fishmonger. I'm actually like, professional, clean-looking Fishmonger. So if you've been around the block with blockchain technologies, no pun intended, you'll know that it's been a little bit of a rocky ride recently. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, all these coins have been flying all over the place as far as their prices go, and that's really been affecting mining profitability. The downside is miners aren't earning as much. The good side is video cards are starting to flood the market, and they are very, very cheap. I live in Pennsylvania. I live in an area where we have probably one of the lower electricity costs in the state. I only pay about 8 cents a kilowatt hour. It's pretty dang cheap. Some people over in California are over 20 cents a kilowatt hour, so they're literally paying, close to 3 times the amount in electric that I am. So this is really going to eat into your profits if you're running a mining rig that uses up a lot of power. So since I'm in a low electricity cost state and I can actually make some pretty good profit, probably until the price drops until a $4,000 for Bitcoin, at least that is, I decided to upgrade some of my cheaper cards and actually dig into some of the higher end cards. I also got this spreadsheet that I used a long time ago, and I figured I'd share this. Let's see if I can blow this up a little bit because it's got some interesting information in here. When I was originally looking to build one of my rigs, I was using this information here. And you can see that I was planning on pulling about 575 watts with a 1075 hash rig because I was making a 1050 rig. I managed to get a whole bunch of 1050s pretty dang cheap. They were only about 121 bucks at the time because I bought a whole bunch, and there was a rebate I got when I bought the Amazon card or whatever at the same exact time. I had one 1060 I threw in there, and then basically I had another one in my computer that I bought on Newegg pretty cheap. It was 138 bucks for a MSI 1050. At that time, when I wrote this chart, which is pretty much the beginning of January, this rig with its measly 1075 hash rate power for Equihash would have got me about $760 a day and about $228 a month. Which is incredible because I'm now running over 3.5 times that hash rate, and I'm only maybe getting 300 bucks a month. So it just goes to show you how much the difficulty has changed in that short period of time. But this is interesting because it's fun to look back and say, it's amazing things don't scale linearly. This is obviously not how this would have worked out because I should have got everything paid off in the 19th week, but that did not happen. Anyway, I digress. Because I'm selling the 1050 and I wanted to buy a upgraded card, I wanted to see which card right now is the best bang for the buck. I had a feeling, just doing some quick analysis on eBay and stuff, that the 1063 gigabyte was really going to be the best deal. But in order to confirm that, I went back and I took a look at the last 10 eBay confirmed sales for each one of these cards. eBay has actually got this neat thing, if you're not 100% familiar with it. Let's see, if I search for 1050 Ti, little button up here says advanced. If you click on this, you can actually search sold listings. All right, so you can see what the last several sales went for, and you can sort it by certain things. Lowest price. In this case, I'm going to go by end date, recent first. I'll do all listings, and I can search for. Let's see, do they have used as an option here? I don't see that. But, so you can see, for instance, here's an OC 1050 Ti that went for $191. Here's what the one for $188, $182, etc., etc., etc. I took all this data and basically plugged it into this chart. And, of course, these numbers aren't going to 100% match the chart or the values that I just saw because more cards have been selling in this time. Again, this was just 10 sales, so it's not exactly a very large data set, but it just gave me a rough general idea of what the prices were. And it just goes to show you things like this. Somebody sold the 1050 for 90 bucks. It was a buy it now auction. So if you play your cards right and you kind of keep an eye on eBay, you can get some really good deals on some cards. Heck, somebody here sold a 1080 for $410. That was ridiculous. $410. That card sold less than a 1070 Ti did. The cheapest 1070 Ti I saw in the last 10 sales was $420. This one went for $10 less. That's an incredible deal. But anyway, you can see the averages here. You know, it's about $128 for a 1050, $171 for a 1050 Ti, $190 for a 1063 gigabyte. It makes a pretty big jump up to $287 for a 6 gig, and then another pretty big jump up to $414 for a 1070. So your entry-level cards for mining really are like these three because they're not super expensive. I mean, a 1070 is going to cost you about twice as much as a 1060. Keep that in mind for one quick second. And I did plot some statistical analysis here. Basically, I just ran a standard deviation on the last 10 sales just to kind of see how much the prices are fluctuating. And it looks like the 3 gigabyte cards are also pretty steady at around their price of averaging around $200. If you take a look at this chart, I used a couple of different bits of information here. Basically, the last 7 days on what to mine with its recommendation on what algorithm you should be running. And then I used Nicehash just because it's got good, quick, easy to find information. And its recommended algorithm to run. And then it also tells you the values, so I wrote them down. However, I'm not sure I trust these values because it's telling me a 1070 hashes faster than a 1070 Ti by a large margin, both on Equihash and Dagger Hashimoto. I own both 1070s and 1070 Ti's. I've never seen that happen. I've been on the internet too. I've never seen that happen. So I don't know if Nicehash was just drunk that day or what, but pretty much everything for the 1070, I think you could just disregard this. But let's take a look at the other values here. So the key point is, as far as I'm concerned, which card is going to hold its own and which card is going to pay for itself the fastest, and then, you know, continue to make money. Right now, that is hands down the 1060 3 gigabyte. For its current price of around $200, you're going to get an ROI of around 12.9 months because it's currently making about $14.70 a month. Okay. Now, if you remember before, I said the 1070s were selling for around $400. Well, the 1060s are going to run around $200, right? So just to round things to make them even numbers, you could say you can buy 2 1060 cards for the same price as one 1070 card. Now, with that being said, 2 1060 cards are going to get you close to $30 a month, according to the values and assuming they scale properly, which they won't, but assuming that. While a 1070 is not going to get you 27. To be honest, it's probably going to get you more like around 23 or 24, maybe even 22, because you got to compare that to the 1070 Ti that's saying 26. I'm just going to type in 22 right there just for easier numbers. So if you buy one 1070 Ti, in about a month you're going to get around $22 back. 2 1060s, which cost the same amount, you're going to get 30. It's actually a better investment to get the cheaper cards right now than it is to get the more powerful cards. And you know, a lot of it makes sense. The 1063 gigabytes not too long ago stopped being able to mine Ethereum on Windows machines. And a lot of people like to run Windows machines because they're easy and it's Windows and they're familiar with it. Not a lot of people run Linux. However, you're perfectly fine running Ethereum 3 gigabyte cards on a Linux setup. I currently can mine Ethereum no problem running HiveOS on my rig over there. And I get around, and actually a quick little note over here, I get around 21 to 22 mega hash on my cards instead of the 19.86 that Nicehash is saying. So quite honestly, I get a little bit more than this value on these cards. So I took this data, and I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. Why do I even still have my 1050s? Like, they're just not worth it. They use up a lot of power, they don't get a lot back in return, and they're only becoming less and less more valuable. Because as time goes on, the cards are just going to depreciate in value more. So I listed my 1060 MSI card up on eBay. Actually, this guy, I hope you can see, it's the Twin Frozer Gaming X card, which a lot of people have. The camera's backwards. I apologize for that. I ended up getting $160 for it. That's an empty box. Don't worry about it. I got $160 for that card for a sale. And I picked up a 1063 gigabyte for around $200. So, you know, granted, I got to pay some eBay fees and whatever, yada, yada, yada. Maybe I'll get like $140 back on that sale. However, I bought that card for like $200. So for a $60 upgrade, I'm going to get a card that is almost it's more than twice as efficient when it comes to mining. Because again, you can see the 1050s right now are only going to get you around $7 a month, and a 1060 is going to get you around a little over $14 a month. So in summary, if you're looking to expand on your rigs, you don't have a heck of a lot of money to spend, or even if you do have a lot of money to spend, and you want to try to get some cards that are pretty efficient and powerful, and are very capable of mining for quite some time, these 1063 gigabytes, again, on Linux, are absolute steal. Right now, for $200, you can get 5 of them for $1,000. That's a pretty good price. So this is Fishmonger. I'm signing out. Hope you enjoyed the video. I had fun making it, and I'm gonna be upgrading this card sometime next week, I guess, when it comes in. I'm actually searching for a 12 GPU motherboard. I currently run 2 rigs right now, and they're on 2 motherboards with 2 sets of power supplies. And each motherboard has only 5 slots available. So I'm searching around because, in addition to everybody dumping their cards really cheap, mining motherboards are also going really cheap. I can pick up one of them 12 GPU motherboards for probably less than $100, which is great because that means I can get that. I can get the processor and the memory for it, not spend too much money, and I can sell my old motherboard, my old memory, my old processor, make a little bit of money on that, and I'll upgrade to a system where I'll have the ability to be able to run 2 extra GPUs that I'm currently running right now because I'm limited to 10. I can run 2 extra GPUs and have it all consolidated nice and neat on one big motherboard. So I hope I get something really good and really cheap because I can't wait to do that upgrade. That'll be absolutely fun, and I get to build a whole new rig for that too because I love chopping up wood and building up wood. So until that time, this is Fishmonger. I'm signing out. I'll catch you on the flip side.